The night was thick with tension as the four members of the crew, masked and armed, approached the seemingly ordinary suburban home. Their initial plan was simple: break in, seize valuable items, and vanish into the shadows before anyone noticed. Little did they know, fate had darker plans in store for them. The moon hung low in the sky, casting eerie shadows across the quiet neighborhood. The crew, led by a man named Jake, crept silently towards the targeted house. The air was charged with anticipation as they approached the entrance, their breaths shallow and the night still. With a swift kick, the door swung open, revealing a dimly lit interior. The crew moved through the darkness like phantoms, their senses heightened by the adrenaline coursing through their veins. However, as they began searching for their loot, an unsettling feeling settled in the air. Unbeknownst to them, the sole homeowner, Mr. Elias Blackwood, had sensed their intrusion. His eyes glowed an otherworldly red as a malevolent force took hold of him. The crew, lost in their quest for riches, remained oblivious to the unseen presence that lingered in the shadows. As they gathered their ill-gotten gains, strange occurrences began to unfold. Doors creaked open on their own, and whispers echoed through the empty hallways. Unsettled, the crew exchanged nervous glances, dismissing their fear as mere paranoia. Little did they realize that something far more sinister lurked within the walls. Jake, the leader, felt an icy chill crawl up his spine. He brushed it off, attributing it to the adrenaline. However, the atmosphere became increasingly oppressive, suffocating them with an invisible malevolence. Shadows danced on the walls, taking on grotesque forms that seemed to mock the intruders. As the crew prepared to make their exit, a sudden silence descended upon the house. The stolen riches clinked in their bags, creating an eerie symphony that reverberated through the stillness. Unseen eyes watched them from the darkness, and a low, guttural growl echoed through the air. A flickering light drew their attention to the living room, where a distorted figure stood. Mr. Blackwood's once human features were twisted into a demonic visage. The possessed homeowner glided towards them, his steps defying the laws of the natural world. Fear gripped the crew, their bravado evaporating in the face of the supernatural. They fumbled for their weapons, but the possessed Mr. Blackwood unleashed an unseen force that sent them sprawling. One by one, the crew members succumbed to the paranormal onslaught, their terrified screams echoing through the haunted house. As Jake desperately tried to escape, he found himself ensnared by an invisible grip. The possessed homeowner approached, his eyes ablaze with malevolent energy. In a guttural voice, Mr. Blackwood uttered a chilling warning. "You sought riches in the shadows, but here, the shadows seek their own revenge." With those ominous words, the first chapter of their nightmarish ordeal reached its climax, leaving Jake paralyzed with terror as the paranormal hunt unfolded with relentless intensity. Frozen in fear, Jake watched helplessly as the possessed Mr. Blackwood approached, his demonic presence enveloping the room. The once silent house now echoed with otherworldly laughter, as if the very walls mocked their intrusion. The crew, now reduced to mere pawns in a supernatural game, struggled to comprehend the horror that unfolded. The possessed homeowner gestured, and unseen forces lifted Jake into the air, suspending him like a puppet in the grasp of an unseen marionettist. His comrades lay strewn across the room, their bodies contorted in unnatural positions. The malevolent force reveled in the chaos it had unleashed. "Your greed brought you here," Mr. Blackwood intoned, his voice a twisted symphony of demonic echoes. "Now, you shall face the consequences." Jake's mind raced as he tried to comprehend the surreal nightmare. The once clear line between the material and the supernatural had blurred into a twisted amalgamation of horror. The crew's weapons were rendered useless against the unseen forces that now toyed with their very existence. One by one, the crew members met their grisly fates. Mark, the burly enforcer, found himself trapped in a room where the walls seemed to close in, crushing him without a tangible force. Sarah, the tech-savvy infiltrator, was ensnared by tendrils of darkness that emerged from the shadows, pulling her into an abyss that defied reality. Each death was more gruesome than the last, a testament to the vengeful power that lurked within the possessed Mr. Blackwood. Desperation clawed at Jake's chest as he witnessed the demise of his comrades. The supernatural force seemed to feed on their fear, growing stronger with each soul it claimed. Yet, Jake, with no hope of escape, could only watch as the relentless abyss consumed them all. In a final act of malevolence, the possessed Mr. Blackwood turned his attention towards the suspended Jake. The demonic gaze bore into Jake's soul, and the room seemed to pulse with a sinister energy. Shadows converged, forming an oppressive darkness that engulfed Jake entirely. As the last echoes of his crewmates' screams faded into the eerie silence, Jake felt himself being pulled into the abyss. The unseen forces tore at his very essence, and his terrified cries joined the haunting chorus that echoed within the accursed walls. The possessed homeowner reveled in the triumph of the supernatural, the house now a crypt for lost souls. The night, once disturbed by the intrusion of the living, settled into an unholy calm as the malevolent force fed on the residual fear that lingered in the air. The tale of an armed home invasion had concluded, leaving behind only the haunting memory of a paranormal hunt that claimed every soul involved. The haunting echoes of despair lingered in the air as the malevolent force claimed its victims, entwining the stolen riches with the tormented souls within the spectral grasp of the accursed house, forever sealing their fates in the shadows of the paranormal abyss.